welcome back to another video, guys. So it is half term this week and I'm spending some time enjoying myself, relaxing, making sure I'm getting ready for the next half term that's coming up, and partly is I'm doing some things that I want to enjoy. So if you're on half term as well, make sure you'll spend some time enjoying yourselves. I am, by making these videos, so hopefully you will enjoy these. Today we are looking at some top tips for your first year as a teacher, the types of things you need to be doing during your first year to make sure you can be as successful as you can be. Your first year as a teacher, as an ECT as it is now called, is really tough. There's a lot to do, there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to catch up on, and you start by getting in front of a class for the first time when it's your sole responsibility. There's no one else there to help you out, there's no one alongside you, you're there, the class teacher responsible for that class. So get ready, because it is a wild year. But by the end of it, you'll be 100 times more confident, you'll be very proud of what you've achieved, and you should be well on your way to becoming a class teacher. Nowadays, you get 2 years of support, so you're lucky enough to get a bit of support in your second year as a teacher as well. But good luck, guys, and we're going to go through some top tips of what to do. Number one being to get to know the staff in your school as well as you can and as quickly as you can. The people in your school that you're working with, now that might be teachers, that might be teaching assistants, that could just be the dinner staff, that could be the lunchtime supervisors, head teacher. I mean, get to know everybody, because they are an absolute wealth of knowledge. I've learned some things throughout my time at school that I would never have thought that would even be something that's useful to me. And I've learned this from people who I didn't think that would be teaching me things. But because you get to know people, you learn stuff. Some of those people in that school will have been working there for years, I'm sure. We've had people working at my school since pretty much when I was born. That knowledge that they build up from working for that period of time, and they know the local area, they know the children, they normally know the children's parents and sometimes their grandparents too. Use that knowledge to your advantage. Get to know the people in your school, because they've got so much to teach you, especially being the other teachers in your school, because I'm sure they're working alongside them. You can use their skills and use their knowledge to your benefit. Look at how they do their planning, look at how they do their lesson preparation, look at what they do for their timetables, and use that to help you out. That doesn't mean to say you need to do what they do and you need to copy it exactly, unless of course the school's got a policy that you have to follow. Do something similar to what they do to start off with, and then tweak it as you go along. There's no point reinventing the wheel and starting from scratch, because everyone's done it before, everyone's done everything before. So have a look at what the teachers do alongside you and learn from them. But do learn from everybody in the school. Learn from people who've been there longer than you. Learn how stuff in the dinner hall works. Learn everything from the people around you, because they're the ones that are going to help you out most when you're struggling. Next up, and one of the most important ones, is to make sure that you're following the policies the school has put in place. To begin with, especially as an early career teacher, there is a lot of policies for you to follow. So make sure you've had a read of them all, and you're looking at the main, your marking and feedback policy, teaching and learning policy, behaviour policy, your main ones, that you are following them to the letter as much as you can. That is what will be expected of all the teachers that are working in your school, and that's what will be expected of you. Now, there will be a bit of understanding around the fact that you're new to the school and you may not know what those policies are to begin with, but you do need to make sure you've read them before you started teaching and that you're following them as close as you can. If you have any questions about them, just go and ask someone who does know. Go and ask the head teacher, deputy head teacher, whoever your line manager is. Go and ask those people what questions you have, and then they will be sure to help you out, because that's their role as a mentor to you. They've took on an early career teacher for a reason. That's because they want to help you become the best teacher you can be, and they want to mold you into teaching in a style that they want. And one of those things will be to follow the policies that they've put in place. So make sure you are following them as best you can, because that is really important for the school to operate in a consistent manner across all the year group. Those policies are there to make sure the teachers are consistent, they're working well together, and the children learn well when there's consistent teaching going on as they move from year group to year group. It's really important to make sure you're following those as best you can. Now, the next tip we're going to talk about is you as an early career teacher. There is going to be 1,000,001 things you can do to improve your teaching. I still think there's 1,000,001 things I can do to improve my teaching now, and I've been teaching for almost 4 years. That is something that's not going to change, and it's really important. Do not be disheartened at setback. When you start teaching, you're going to have a lot of observations to go over, just like you did when you were doing your teacher training, and not all of those observations will go well. There'll be days when you might not be as prepared as you need to be. There'll be days when something goes wrong mid-lesson, some technology might go wrong. There might just be a lesson that doesn't quite hit the brief of what you're meant to be teaching that day, and these things are going to happen. It's okay if they don't, then fantastic and good for you, very well done. But if they do go wrong, don't feel like it's the end of the world. The school knew what they took on when they hired an early career teacher. They will hire you for a multitude of reasons, and one of the things they knew is that they need to help with your training. There's an early career teacher period for a reason. That is because They need to make sure they are training you up to be the best teacher you can be. Teacher training is great, and whether you did a PGCE, whether you did undergraduate degree, however you did your teacher training, I'm sure it was very, very useful, and I know mine, I enjoyed it. But you do not learn to be a proper teacher on teacher training. You learn to be a teacher in the classroom on the job. And until you've done that for real, for a year, for 2 years, you will not know really what's to come. So mistakes are going to be made. The important thing is, guys, do not be disheartened by those mistakes. They're going to happen. Do your best to avoid them. Do your best to be open and honest about them when they do happen with other staff members. And especially don't try and hide them, because when you hide a mistake, that means you're not learning from it. That means you're not getting the lessons from that mistake. In class, if the children are writing in a book, one of the big things in schools is teachers don't like children rubbing out their mistakes. And that's because we use them as a learning point. You use a child's mistake to say, oh, see what you've done there? Actually, what you should have done is this, correct the point, and then show them how to do it properly. That is the same thing for you. If you've made a mistake, then talk to whoever it is that has noticed that mistake, get them to show you how you should have done it, how to do it properly, and then learn from it and do it better next time. Do not let those mistakes get you down, because they're going to happen, and just power on through, learn from each and every single one of them, and hopefully big yourself up at the good bits as well, because there are going to be some moments where you find yourself feeling on top of the world. You're doing what your dream job is, you've finished all your training and you're in the role, and there'll be those eureka moments when children kind of understand a problem that you've taught them. There'll be moments when someone's finally done something they've been working towards doing for ages, and it's all down to your hard work with them. Those moments are incredible, and they're worth all the hard times. Just keep on pushing through them, because when you get those moments, it is really worth it. And by all means, big yourself up at those points and say, yes, you know what, I'm doing a great job, because I'm sure you are. Now, while you're going through this period and the mistakes and the good bits are going on, do look at yourself and start to work out ways you can improve. As always with a teacher, there is 101 things that you want to do on your to-do list, but make sure one of them is looking at yourself, reviewing how you're teaching, reviewing what you're doing, and looking at ways you can improve your teaching. It's always good to have little personal targets to improve. Now, there might be remembering to do the register on time every day. There might be getting them lined up quickly and sensibly. That might be getting into the hall on time. Although it can be those tiny little things like that. Having those little targets for yourself to set means when you do tick those off, and when you say, actually, yes, I can get them lined up quickly and quietly, I can walk into the classroom and they will make sure they will listen to me. Those little things that you can do, just make sure you're focusing on those targets as well. You'll be getting set targets by your head teacher, and hopefully you can incorporate some of these targets into those with them. But if you keep on focusing on yourself and making sure you set yourself little targets too, it's a way to have those little achievements throughout the term where you can encourage yourself through the hard times and keep yourself going. One of the things about your early career teacher period is you do get a bit of extra time out of class. So all teachers have about 10% of time out of class doing their PPA, where they do their planning time and their assessment time. And as an ECT, you get an extra 10%. So you get basically an extra afternoon out of class. Most of the time this afternoon will be taken up with observations. So you might be going to observe a different teacher in your school. You could be going to observe someone in another school, or you might be going to some sessions run by the local authority to help your early career teacher development, and make sure you're talking to other new early career teachers that are also on the job for the first time too. Now, these are so useful, and I think the one thing I'd say to do as much as you can is those observations. At the time, they may not seem like the best use of your time, because you might be behind on marking, you might be behind on your planning, and it feels that actually you can make a lot better use of those times getting ahead again. But if you can manage to stay on top of your marking and your planning, getting in to do as much observation as you can, it's the one thing I really, really miss from my NQT year, as it was called then. I miss going into other classes and doing observations, because there's just not the same amount of time to do it now. I do get to do it a little bit as a subject leader and going to see bits of geography and computing here and there, but they're generally short 50-minute ones. I don't get to sit in an entire lesson, and I don't get to see how teachers teach maths or teach writing. And it is really, really useful. The best way you can learn is by seeing things happen, observing them in action, seeing how teachers do things and taking advice from them. By all means, do keep on top of your marking. If you need a bit of time to go and do that, see if you can have it. But as much as possible in your ECT time, observe other teachers, see how they do things, see how they get the kids into class, see what they do as morning work to get them engaged in the lessons to begin with. How do they get the kids from coming in class from a break time to sat down getting on with their work? Because those little bits are things that really make or break a teacher. If you can get the class from outside, sat down, getting on with their work, nice and calmly, nice and smoothly, that makes the rest of the lesson run a lot easier. If it's already a battle to get them sat down and listening, then the rest of the lesson will be a bit of hard work too. So if you can go and see those little bits and then use that in your own teaching, that would be amazing. Also, go and see how they teach the lessons. There might be something you're missing, there might be something you're not doing that actually you should be doing, and you can pick it up just by watching another teacher and put it into practice before you get picked up on it yourself. So go and do as much observations as you can, because they are the most useful thing you can do during your ECT time. Hopefully these have all helped, and I think the big thing apart from all that is just ask questions. If you've got something and you're not sure what you're doing with it, you're not sure how to do it, go and ask someone. I still do it all the time. I'll constantly ask questions, because if I don't know something, then I need to know it. I need to go and find out. It's not an embarrassment. It's not a bad thing to not know what you're doing. It's just important to get to grips with everything as quickly as possible. So go and ask questions. And by all means, do ask me. Put a comment down below in this video if you've got any questions you want to ask, even if you've not started training yet, or if you're already a teacher, you just want to know something. I'll do my best to help, and if not, someone else might reply and help you out like they do sometimes in the comments. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and hopefully it's been useful for you. As always, a new video every Tuesday, Friday and Sunday, and I hope you're all enjoying your half term off. I will see you very soon.